She is resigning. May took power 3 years ago when then Prime Minister David Cameron stepped down following the Brexit referendum. May will officially leave office on June 7th. In a tearful announcement at 10 Downing Street earlier today, the Prime Minister said she has done everything she can to try to deliver Brexit. But she also said it is in the best interest of the UK for her to step aside.
I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The second female Prime Minister, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
May's Conservative Party lost more than 1,300 seats in local elections this year. Earlier today, President Trump reacted to her announcement.
I feel badly for Theresa. I like her very much. She's a good woman. She worked very hard. She's very strong. She decided to do something that some people were surprised at, some people weren't. It's for the good of her country, but I like her very much.
Let's bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent Mark Phillips. He's in London. Mark, thanks for joining us. We heard from the president say he felt bad for Theresa May. Why did she decide to step down now?
Well, essentially because she had zero chance of getting the deal that she had negotiated with the European Union through the UK Parliament. She had tried 3 times already, losing with historically large majorities against her plan. She had promised to bring the plan back to Parliament in a couple of weeks' time and was told that it would simply lose again. There were more significant resignations from within her own government, within her own cabinet, and a couple of senior cabinet ministers went in to see her over the last couple of days saying basically she had reached the end of the road. And so she took the decision she did. What was remarkable about the announcement today, of course, was the emotion that she showed at the end of it. Her reputation here and her nickname here is the Maybot, that she took this stoic, almost oblivious to criticism, keep on the course, almost automated approach to a political life, but in the end, apparently the strain did tell, and it was a very emotional departure. There's been some sympathy for her, people paying tribute to the amount of effort that she had put in, but also criticism that the situation that she has found herself in was to some extent of her own making, that she should have reached out to the opposition, other members, other factions in her own party earlier. She made the case today that what the country needed was compromise, and people said that she had indicated a willingness to compromise too late in the game.
Well, I want to play reaction from opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn. Take a listen.
The reality is a new Conservative leader isn't going to solve the problem. There has to be another opportunity for the people of this country to decide who they want to be in their government, how they want the government to be run, what the long-term strategy is of that government. I think we need a general election. We don't need another Tory leader installed by Tory MPs.
Wow. So who might replace Theresa May as the next Prime Minister?
Well, a word first about the Jeremy Corbyn quote. He's been arguing that for a general election right through this whole process. He's been also, his party is just as ambivalent in many respects as the Conservatives are, particularly with respect to whether or not to allow another referendum, Parliament being hamstrung and paralyzed, whether to put the whole question of Britain's leaving the EU back to the people. And he has had just as much criticism as she has. As to who's a possible replacement for her, this is going to look here. It's called the Grand National, the big horse race that's held every year. Think of it as the Kentucky Derby. There's, I think, at last count, 16 or 17 either announced or potential candidates. This will be a longest process. The name at the top of the list now is the former Foreign Secretary and former Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, who himself is a very divisive figure. He's loved by some, suspected by others as being an opportunist and hungry for power. So it's also useful to say that historically in the Conservative Party, whoever is the early leader in the campaign does not win.
And ultimately, what happens to Brexit?
That is the question. As it stands now, nothing. The next leader, when he comes in, it'll be sometime in July, presumably before he or she is selected, will have exactly the same problems that the current leader has. There is no majority in the House of Commons for any particular variety of